character almost entirely by like tangible output.
Oh, absolutely. All the time.
Right. Like we see someone fund a hospital ward and we immediately just stamp good person on their resume. It is a very clean, measurable way for you and me to evaluate the world. But what if that entire metric is fundamentally flawed?
Well, because when you step into the territory of inner motives, that whole spreadsheet of tangible deeds becomes practically irrelevant. I mean, we are looking at an ethical landscape today that's governed by the invisible.
Exactly. And that is our mission for you today on this deep dive. We are exploring a foundational Islamic text from Sahih Bukhari, specifically Hadith 1, which was narrated by a towering historical figure, Umar ibn al-Khattab.
Yeah, and we are going to examine how one single ancient sentence, actions are judged by intentions, creates an incredibly rigorous framework for human behavior.
The phrasing is, it's simple, but the mechanics of how it operates seem really complex.
They are. The text doesn't just suggest intentions are important, it argues they physically dictate the reality of an action. And to illustrate this, the source material uses a massive geopolitical event from that era, which is migration.
Right, like packing up your entire life and just crossing a desert.
Exactly. The text points out that if two people migrate, their physical actions are totally identical. But if one migrates for faith and the other migrates just to acquire wealth or maybe to marry a specific person, well, their rewards are entirely different.
But wait, I have a fundamental question here. If someone moves to a new community and, contributes to it, the community still benefits. So why does the text argue the secret motive even matters if the physical result is positive?
That's a great point. It's because the text divides human action into two completely different economies. You have the worldly economy and the spiritual economy.
Okay, so how do those differ?
Well, in the worldly economy, yes, the community benefits from that person's arrival, and that person gets the wealth or the marriage they sought. I mean, they get exactly what they intended. But in the spiritual economy, the currency is sincerity.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the text argues that the divine only accepts actions that are purely dedicated to it. So, while the physical utility remains, the spiritual reality of that migration is capped entirely by that worldly motive.
So the action basically can't transcend its own underlying purpose. That logic actually bridges the gap between historical events and modern life. Because the exhaustion of migrating across a desert isn't structurally that different from, like, the exhaustion of a grueling daily commute.
Exactly the same mechanism applies. This framework argues that a pure intention actually transforms totally mundane actions into sacred acts of worship.
Wait, really? Like just everyday stuff?
Yeah, like earning a lawful paycheck, cooking dinner, or, even just sleeping to regain energy for the next day. If the internal engine driving those actions is to sustain yourself to do good, the daily grind is elevated to something deeply spiritual.
Wow. Listening to how this works, it effectively operates like a spiritual anti-fraud system.
Oh, that is a perfect way to put it.
Right, because it strips away the PR, the optics, all the public applause, and it forces you to look at the internal ledger. Like, you can't forge it where it actually counts.
And attempting to forge that ledger is precisely what triggers the system's most severe warning in the text. It introduces this concept of ostentation, or showing off.
Right, doing things for the gram, basically.
Yeah, exactly. If you perform a supposedly righteous deed like donating to charity, but your hidden mechanism is seeking validation or social status, well, the spiritual value drops to absolute zero.
Ouch.
Yeah. The text treats it as a totally void transaction. You wanted applause, you got applause, but the spiritual account remains completely empty.
Which is terrifying if you really interrogate your own motives.
Yeah.
I mean, it completely removes the comfort of just going through the motions.
Right. And this rigorous internal quality control is exactly why the classical architects of Islamic jurisprudence viewed this single text as the bedrock of the entire religion.
Like who?
Well, take Imam Shafi, one of the most prominent systematizers of Islamic law. He famously calculated that this single concept encompasses 1/3 of all Islamic knowledge.
Like, how does that math actually work? Because claiming 1/3 of an entire religious framework comes from just one sentence about intention? I mean, that seems like a massive leap.
It does sound like a leap, but it makes perfect sense when you look at how human beings generate actions. Shafi broke it down into 3 engines: the heart, the tongue, and the physical body.
Okay, I'm following.
Every single thing you do requires at least one of those engines. But the heart, which houses intention, is the overriding governor of the other 2. You can speak a good word or do a physical deed, but without the heart's alignment, the other 2 are spiritually dead on arrival.
So the heart is basically the multiplier. That contextualizes why another major figure, Imam Ahmad, designated this as one of the three foundational pillars of Islam, right?
Yes, exactly. And why the scholar Ibn Hajar argued this text definitively proves inner reality governs the outward appearance, not the other way around.
They understood that a system of ethics built only on outward rules is, well, it's just easily manipulated.
Precisely. By placing the ultimate weight on the invisible motive, the framework demands a level of internal honesty that is literally impossible to police from the outside.
So, synthesizing all of this for you, the poor framework presented in the text is that true value strictly requires pure sincerity. According to this perspective, your worth isn't measured by the tangible resume society sees, but by the invisible engines operating quietly in your heart.
Which leaves us with a highly uncomfortable reality to consider.
It really does. Because if the ultimate metric of our character is determined by the secret motives we successfully hide from the world, how differently would you act if you were suddenly forced to publicly broadcast the hidden intention behind every single choice you make today?